lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan.
I'm Manny.
And we are going to talk X Factor #1. But before we get into it, I just want to remind everybody, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please do that. Hit that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop a new video. We drop them pretty much every single day here. There's a whole backlog, over 700 videos to check out. So check those out. Hit that subscribe button. This was the return of the original X-Men team, who at this point in continuity were not together. Cyclops was off on his own with Madeline Pryor, who we're going to see. Jean Grey, newly resurrected. Beast was with the Avengers at this point, I believe, as well. So it's bringing this whole team back. Kind of a cool concept in terms of why they come together. Bob Layton, the writer, Jackson Guice, or Butch Guice, depending on what comic you're reading. It's a penciler, and then we got Bob Layton, Jackson Guice, and Joe Rubinstein as the inkers. We got 3 freaking inkers on this, and we also have 2 colorists. And look whose name we see again, Glynis Oliver.
Glynis Oliver. I'm starting to think that she's gonna become one of my favorite colorists. And I mean, she's fantastic. A lot of these old comics that I realized I was attracted visually as a kid before I even learned to read the credits on stuff were colored by her.
Yep, I know, it's crazy. I think we've talked at least 6 or 7 comics recently where she's the colorist. So interesting, dude. Cyclops, Madeline Pryor, they just have a new kid. He's living the married life, staying away from the X-Men. And so we get this like very, very married life kind of view of them, which I thought was kind of funny. He's not chopping down wood, he's optic blasting down wood for the house. At this point, they're talking about the Mutant Registration Act and stuff like that. Having a fucking lover's quarrel here, dude.
Yeah.
She wants him to just be a husband.
Yeah, they left the X-Men to start a family, and honestly, in this period, well, not in this period. I've always felt that Scott Summers is kind of an asshole, and like he really is like treating her like absolute dog shit.
Yeah, and he really fucking goes for it towards the end of this book, dude. I mean,
yeah,
he's
bro,
like calling him out, like, I remind you of your old flame, the late but not forgotten Jean Grey. And he's like, stop, that's uncalled for. And she's like, no, dude, like, I love you, and the X-Men don't need you. Jean's dead. I'm the one that needs you. And I can understand from her perspective, like, he still can't let it go, right?
Yeah.
And that is initially what attracted him to her, was that he reminded her, or she reminded him of Jean. And look at that, dude. He's thinking about her, and she calls him out, and he's like, yes. Just lie, dude. Just lie.
I love that panel. It's like a romance comic. It almost looks
right
like
here?
a cover to a romance comic. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So good.
Like you could just imagine like Fat Balloon above her head. Who is she? Who is he thinking about?
Yeah.
Next issue on Young Romance.
Funny, I associated this run, the beginning, with Walter and Louis Simonson. I didn't realize that they didn't kick this run off, and was like, I don't know exactly what issue they come in on, but it's very early on.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really read a lot of X Factor as a kid. I mostly read X-Men, New Mutants, and X-Force. So a lot of X Factor is a blind spot for me.
Same
so that's
here.
why I was excited when you said to do this issue, because I've actually never read it. This is the first time I've read it.
Same. This is the first time I've ever read it. But as you know, and I've said it on, to anybody that follows the channel, like, I've been on a huge X-Men binge lately. So I've been picking up all sorts of stuff, and I got the Inferno tie-ins, and then I was like, fuck, man, like, maybe I should pick up the first issue, check out how that started. I wasn't disappointed, dude. It's cool to see this different side, and there's definitely like that soap opera feel
to this totally era. Lots of dialogue. There's a lot of word and thought balloons in this.
Oh yeah,
dude, a lot of narrative boxes.
Yeah. Like something as simple as this, Warren Worthington, aka Angel, they're at his hideout, basically his house in the middle of nowhere. We got Beast walking down the stairs on one hand, reading a book and holding his luggage under his legs. I love that shit, dude. Iceman just struggling as he's going down. Like, Warren's dating this girl, Candy.
Yeah.
I didn't remember from there,
Yeah, he's living it up on his big ass house, just living off his money. Warren has always been a rich guy.
Yeah, I love this. Iceman throws an ice slide, and Beast is like, you know how many pounds of ice that's gonna melt the liver? He's like, Warren can afford it. And I think Warren kind of wants to get back in the game a little bit, right?
Yeah, he's bored of this like Playboy kind of lifestyle. Even though he keeps saying he's enjoying it, I think
Yeah.
deep down inside, he misses being with the original X-Men and misses being part of the team.
He was part of the Defenders at one point too. And
Yeah,
I mean, look at this, dude. These fucking construction workers, like, look at that. I still don't like working for the muty freaks. Oh, but you don't mind when he comes and saves your ass as your scaffolding fucking rips. He throws his girl back in the pool. He doesn't even hesitate. All right, Bobby, clear the men off there. I'll go get that guy going over the edge. So this dude's about to fucking fall to his death. And you know, all he's thinking about is how Angel's a fucking muty freak. Look at that, dude. How Beast to save him just throws into Iceman. They fucking ends up fucking going straight in the water. This is just I don't know. I thought this was a really fun book. Definitely
it
not
was.
definitely not like one of my favorite X-Men comics that I've read recently, but it was a cool introduction to why this team comes together. Because I was always kind of curious, like, why
Yeah,
did they break off and form their own group?
and I think the art by Jackson Guice, is it
Oh yeah,
Guice,
dude.
is really clean and like
Mm-hmm.
like it's that period that was like between the Bronze Age and like the 90s that like I don't know, it's hard to categorize, but it has a specific look, and I think this is like one of the best examples of that look,
Oh,
where
I
like
totally agree.
like there was the color palette was expanding, but like they were still trying to do like classic like sort of comic book storytelling, so everything is very clean. Everyone is drawn to be very good looking and handsome, like it's definitely got a style to it.
Mm-hmm.
I love this line at the bottom though with Candy, like, "Hey, you're not gonna leave me alone with a house full of construction workers, are you?" On second thought.
Yeah, and he lets them go. He's like, all right, let's it's time we started having fun, is what he says,
Yeah,
and leave the hero stuff to somebody else. But he gets pulled back every time. And this is what's cool, dude, is this is the catalyst for them becoming the team. He gets a
yeah,
phone call from Reed Richards, and you see the shock. And he doesn't know, we don't find out what it is, right? But he immediately leaves her. I love this. She's like, "You're just gonna leave me alone with a house full of construction workers?" She's like,
yeah,
second thought, which kind of makes her seem a little slutty,
yeah, yeah,
which I thought was kind of
dude.
weird, you know?
She's trying to get gangbanged,
Yeah, I know. I was like, I looked on the cover. I'm like, was this approved by the Comics Code?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, I guess it wasn't. So I guess that's why that was, they let that slide. And then we meet one of the fucking corniest names that I've ever seen in comics. I mentioned it when we went through New Mutants. Rusty Collins and Skids, dude.
yeah.
They're in here. I don't know.
I
Is
didn't
this?
even know that this was his introduction. This is his first appearance.
Yeah, dude. Fucking weird, man.
I always assumed he came in New Mutants or something.
Uh-huh. Me too. So we got, he's in the service, right? One of the fucking guys is like basically brings over this I don't want to say she's a street worker or anything, but kind of felt like she might be, or she just sleeps around. I don't know. But he
Yeah,
tries
she
to
might have a thing for men in uniform.
right, so he tries to fucking hook her up with Rusty, and they go in and we see his powers take place. And he fucking lights her on fire, dude. This is
Yeah, dude.
horrific.
Yeah, this sequence is really cool, and it really like I love when they really amp up the body horror aspect of like when your mutant powers kick in, because it's pretty horrifying, especially if it backfires, and it usually does. And this sequence was really good. Rusty's not, like you said, a kind of a cheesy character, but this sequence he's handled really well.
Mm-hmm. And so what happens? Angel fucking, we see Rusty, and then we cut back to Angel, and he's like, he's got to be here somewhere. Where is he? Where is he? And he fucking throws his clothes off, makes this huge fucking scene in the airport, and runs right into Reed Richards. This era, people still fucking hating mutants, right? Like, this isn't
Yeah,
like the stuff we're seeing now where they're not constantly ridiculed or attacked, and Reed blocks them, from throwing all this shit, and they're going back to Avengers Mansion. This is where we see Jean Grey is alive. How?
yeah,
Right? How did this happen? And so we see like outside of this San Diego bar too, like all this fucking people like that are going to go against this mutant because, Rusty has fucking killed somebody, right? And he's like wrapped up in like a straitjacket. So there's all this different shit going on. This one right here, the guy that tried to hook him up with her. Look at the fucking like the rage in his face, man. And Rusty's just so non-assuming. This is it. This
Yes.
is where Angel has to make the fucking call, dude. I love this sequence of panels right here on the bottom.
Yeah, that's good storytelling. Just
Mhm.
you just see the passage of time.
Yeah, 5 hours basically. He's been sitting there figuring out how to fucking, let him know. Dude. How then this too. Like they're already like on thin ice as a couple, Madeline and Scott. So he gets this call, and we know what he's hearing on the other line, and he just thinks it's impossible. And he's like, I gotta go. I gotta go to New York today. She's like, no, tell him that you can't make it. I can't do it. If you walk out that door, don't even bother coming back. Well, I gotta go. He is such an asshole right here.
Totally, dude.
I love the simplicity of this panel though, of her just crying into this fucking dish towel, just a purple background.
Yeah, it's good. Clean drawing again. I really like the art in this issue.
Jackson Guice is great, dude. I love his
Yeah.
he did a short run on Flash when it relaunched
Yeah.
in '87 with Wally West. That is phenomenal. God, these Rent-A-Cops, look at the guns drawn on Cyclops. Then he comes in, dude. All right, where is she? Let's see her. Yeah, and I love how she's like, she doesn't think anything's happened. She doesn't know, right? Like Warren
Yeah.
hasn't told her anything about what Scott's been up to. So she's just happy he's back. She loves him. The way he has to hesitate and pull away, because and she's like, "Oh, we're doing wonderful, right, Scott?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, wonderful."
He's lying to both of these chicks now. He's lying to her and her clone. Like, what a dick, bro.
What a fucking asshole. And we get the recap of what took place and how they come back from space. Jean ends up in the ocean. They think she's dead, and Phoenix arises from that.
Yeah.
At least we all thought it was Jean. This is where they create that super complex fucking history with Jean Grey, dude. And then you find out that, dude, like, it wasn't Jean this whole time. She had this cocoon that was in the ocean that was healing her.
So it was a Phoenix at that point. Those recap panels are good though. The coloring is interesting. I think it adds like a nice touch to like the flashback.
Mm-hmm. And then we see that Jean lost her telepathic abilities.
Yeah, so she's only a telekinetic at this point.
Oh, dude, fucking Cyclops.
Yeah, I also didn't know that this is where they reconnected with Jean. I had no idea so much shit happens in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
We meet Rusty Collins. Jean Grey comes back.
And look at this, dude. She says it. It's open season on mutants. Every magazine, every newspaper, every TV show has something to say against mutants. We have to do something to protect our own kind. And, Angel's saying he's given up on the hero business, but that's not what's going to happen, dude. She's not going to let it go down. I love the way the energy is crackling off of her. She's going to take care of like all the, the people attacking on mutants and like hating on them. And, Cyclops obviously confused. Right? Angel's going to go with Scott to go say to grab her. And he's like, I can't so much. Not right. All screwed up. Like what a kind of a pansy, dude. Like you're the one that's fucking acting like kind of shitty. And then you're like,
he doesn't want to do anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very selfish. Scott Summers is very selfish, and especially in this issue.
And then, dude, how about this? Beast had like some interview at a university, and they find a way for him to not do it. Oh, maybe you could try Yale or something else. Like they give him like some bullshit excuse, and he's like, 15th interview I've been on, and all I've encountered are petty bigotries. I don't like that for people to be picked on, but I always thought the X-Men were at their best when the entire world wasn't really about them. That was something that was like, that stood out to me. I like them fighting for people when they're unappreciated, I guess,
Yeah, they're best when they're fighting for a world that hates them,
Mm-hmm. This is my favorite era of the way Beast looked, the way Iceman was handled. I like how Warren has this like coat over his wings.
Yeah. I love the coloring in these panels with Scott too, like the sunset and like the magenta there.
How about this, dude? Jean walking in and Hank and Bobby are both just so shocked, and they're obviously very excited. She calls him Fuzzball.
Yeah, it's very endearing. And Scott again, there's feeling sorry for himself. Yeah. Jamaica Bay, where Jean died.
Leave me alone, McCoy. And I love Cyclops as a character, but they are writing him very kind of like
feeling sorry for himself. I can't lead the X-Men. My wife is dead, bro. Like.
Dude, how about this? Warren Worthington calls them for perhaps the most important meeting of their lives. And we see Cameron Hodge. And
another character I forgot I didn't know was introduced here. And very pivotal to the X-Men mythos.
Yeah, dude. And they're basically gonna fucking create a team that's run by the government.
But a
'Cause-
for profit because credit cards accepted, it says right there. So
yeah, yeah. Pretty crazy, dude. Mutant
yeah.
investigations and resolutions. No need to be fearful. It just sounds like such a fucking shitty message, you know? And
Yeah.
I went a little bit forward because I got issue 10 recently. So like I was able to see a little bit how this plays out. It makes them almost like I don't want to say villains, but they look at themselves kind of like that because then the Mutant Freedom Force, right? That's also government based, has a bunch of villains on their roster.
Yeah.
So, like, they're manipulating them in basically to take down their own kind.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're basically cops. So like, like they're like on government payroll, policing other mutants. Like they're definitely walking a thin line between like are they fighting for mutant freedoms or are they helping enforce
Yeah,
rules that are gonna keep mutants down?
dude,
It's a great concept.
It is a great concept. Rusty breaking out of the prison, just lighting everything on fire. And the commercial, the X Factor commercial, dude. And then we got the fucking army guy that got burned by Rusty. He calls X Factor to help take
Yeah.
Rusty down.
Wait, 42 grand? No what freaking way. That's 2 years pay.
Yeah. The way is like again, I haven't read a lot of stuff with Rusty in it. My only fucking experience with him was in that issue of New Mutants we talked about. Or issues. But the way his powers are fucking displayed here, dude, like he's not
This
exactly
is better.
Human
Like I
Torch.
think they should have kept writing him like they did here. He seemed a little bit different.
I also really dig the costumes. This is the first time we see them in their new outfits. I love the color scheme for them. Like one of the coolest Cyclops costumes. I really like his. I like the '90s one, and I like the one that he's wearing where it's like just the all blue suit with the visor.
Yeah.
Maybe not with the yellow X here. I dig this costume, but I like the one he
Yeah.
had in like the Giant Size X-Men.
I also dig the uniforms they wear when they're like, like not on the field. They're
Mhm.
almost like FF Fantastic Four kind of costumes.
Yeah, good call, dude. Yeah. So now they're gonna go try to round up Rusty, and we get the this is the thing I told you about, like the soap opera feel, how we're seeing what they're thinking, right? Warren was right. We couldn't have pulled this one off without Scott. And then you got Scott thinking, this is really working. I belong here with these four people, with Jean, nowhere else. What do you mean nowhere else? You got a kid and a wife. You know? That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. He hasn't even thought about them this whole time.
Only here with X Factor do I have any chance of making a difference, of doing some good. But then what about Madeline? Yeah, what about her, man?
Yeah, dude. The mother of your children.
Mm-hmm. But just
No
cool
wonder
to see. Cool to
no
see
wonder
this
she
this team back together again because, like I said, I've been reading a lot of old X-Men, and I'm reading the X-Men title during this era where they're not in it, so it's a different team. Cool to see this, like, I'm excited to read that Inferno storyline for the first time because it's definitely been something I've been wanting to check out.
Yeah.
Dude, how they're trapped in the
Inferno
rock.
is one of those great examples of what I said earlier in a different video where like you would get chunks of like a big epic storyline,
Mhm.
but you still felt like you were really reading something epic, because it was so far encompassing.
Yeah.
Inferno's great, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I like this panel with Cyclops just looking up and his
Yeah.
blast just takes over the whole top of the panel.
Yeah, dude, it shows you how fucking strong he is,
Dude, look at that. Yeah, he blows out the fucking mountain, all the rubble that buried them alive. And then they console Rusty, dude. They take him away. They don't give him up to the fucking to the guy that hired him.
They stick him with the fucking bill as if Warren needs any more money.
Oh, dude, how about this? This final page, man.
I mean, I feel bad for Madeline. No wonder she becomes a freaking Goblin Queen, like not only do you find out you're a clone of like this woman that your husband's obsessed with, now this woman is back. Your husband is obsessed with her again,
Yep.
and he pieced out and left you with a fucking kid. Like
Shitty,
father of the
dude.
year, that guy, bro.
Yeah,
Father of the
just
year.
this panel showing her fucking like sad with the TV commercial with X Factor, mutant investigations and resolutions, and then the framed picture of Cyclops and Nate. It's heartbreaking, dude.
Yeah,
And it
I
really
think Cyclops needs Maury Povich to remind him he is the father, bro. Because
that's pretty fucking funny. But what a great issue. Cool. I really enjoyed it. It's not, I didn't really have any expectations on this because
yeah, neither did I.
I've never read any X Factor. Like and I say any X Factor, I mean like I've never read an X Factor issue anywhere along the line. So I'm definitely gonna check some more of it out. I have some other issues that are, like I said, like related to some tie-ins, and I bought a few randoms. But fun
The
book,
cover's dope as
great,
shit though.
yeah, great concept. And yeah, go if you've never read it, I would definitely say it's worth picking up and checking out. And while you're at it, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, we're out.